I died, choking on my own blood. The metallic tang flooding my mouth as Jake's hands clamped around my throat like a vice forged in hell. The last thing I saw was his face, twisted not in remorse, but in cold calculation. The man I'd loved for 12 years reduced to a stranger's smirk. And then, nothing. Blackness. Until I gasped awake in my own bed. Sheets tangled around me like a noose. The alarm clock screaming 6:47 a.m. on the morning of my flight to Chicago. Not last Tuesday. Not the Tuesday I came home to trash bags and a sold sign on our life. This was 3 weeks earlier. I'd been given a do-over. And this time, Jake wouldn't walk away with my blood on his hands and my empire in his pockets. My heart hammered against my ribs as I bolted upright. The familiar scent of our king-sized bed, lavender from the dryer sheets I'd folded myself last night, hitting me like a slap. It was real. The digital clock's red glow. The faint hum of the coffee maker downstairs. The way sunlight slanted through the blinds just so. I was back. Ava Harlan, 34. CEO of Harlan Innovations. The biotech startup I'd bootstrapped from a garage in Silicon Valley to a 9-figure valuation. The woman who'd trusted her husband with everything. The fool who'd ignored the red flags because love is blind. Or so they say. But death has 20/20th's vision. I stumbled to the bathroom mirror, half expecting to see bruises blooming on my neck like purple accusations. Nothing. Just my reflection, sharp cheekbones, dark hair pulled into a hasty ponytail, green eyes wide with the kind of terror that comes from knowing exactly how your story ends. I splashed cold water on my face, the droplets tracing paths down my skin like tears I refused to shed. Not yet. Revenge wasn't a sprint, it was a marathon of calculated steps, and I had 3 weeks to map every mile. Downstairs, the kitchen was a shrine to our curated life, granite counters gleaming under recessed lights. A fridge stocked with organic kale and Jake's favorite IPA. He was already up, humming some off-key tune from that indie band he pretended to like to impress my board members. Jake Harlan, no. Jake Ellis, before I made him mine, stood at the island, scrolling his phone over a half-eaten bagel. Tall, broad-shouldered, with that boyish grin that had charmed investors and me alike. Morning, babe, he called without looking up. Coffee's hot. You ready to crush that conference? His voice slithered into my ears, casual as ever. But I heard the undercurrent now, the faint edge of impatience, like a shark scenting blood. In my first life, I'd kissed him goodbye at the airport, oblivious, texting him updates from O'Hare while he texted his lover. This time, I forced a smile, the kind that didn't reach my eyes. Always handsome. Wouldn't miss sealing that merger for the world. I poured myself a mug. Black. No sugar. Fuel for the war ahead. As I sipped, my mind raced through the timeline I now knew by heart. It started small. The betrayal. Jake had always been the supportive spouse, the one who handled the home front while I built the company. But 6 months ago, he'd started those consulting gigs with my COO, Lena Vasquez. Lena, my right-hand woman since day one, the Latina powerhouse who'd clawed her way up from intern to executive, her sharp wit and sharper instincts making her indispensable. I'd promoted her last year, toasted her at the holiday party with champagne flutes clinking like promises. What I didn't know, what I wouldn't uncover until it was too late, was their affair. Stolen lunches turning into hotel rooms. Whispers of resentment over my long hours. My success eclipsing theirs. By the time I boarded that flight to Chicago, they'd hatched their plan. Jake, ever the opportunist, had been siphoning funds from Harlan Innovations, small at first, petty cash disguised as vendor payments to shell companies he controlled. But Lena? She was the architect. She'd buried the discrepancies in the ledgers. Her access to the financials a skeleton key. Together, they'd cooked up a narrative. I'd been erratic, unstable, dipping into company funds for personal luxuries. When the board called for an audit, they'd frame me as the thief, force me out, and split the spoils, me penniless, them with my legacy. I came home early from the trip, the merger in my pocket, eager to surprise him with takeout from that Thai place he loved. Instead, I found the driveway littered with hefty bags, my Louboutins spilling out like discarded dreams. Photo albums of our wedding day shredded at the edges. Even my grandmother's locket, the one with her ashes inside, tossed like junk. The for sale sign hammered into our lawn, realtor's lockbox glinting on the door. Jake answered my frantic pounding with a restraining order in hand, his eyes flat as he muttered, "It's over. Ava. You've lost it. The company's done with you too." That night, they lured me to the old cabin upstate, our romantic getaway spot. Lies about reconciliation, about saving us. I went, desperate, clinging to the fairy tale. That's where he did it. Strangled me in the kitchen while Lena watched from the shadows, her face a mask of triumph. They staged it as suicide, pills scattered, a note forged in my handwriting confessing embezzlement. My body discovered days later by hikers. My empire auctioned off to cover debts. Jake walked away with the settlement. Lena with the CEO title. Clean. Calculated. American dream twisted into a nightmare. But now? I set the mug down harder than intended, the clink echoing like a gunshot. Jake glanced up, brow furrowing. "You okay? You look off." "Just jet-lag déjà vu," I lied, sliding onto the stool beside him. My hand brushed his arm, a touch that once sparked fire, now just reconnaissance. "Tell me about your week. Anything exciting?" He shrugged, that easy charm kicking in. "Same old. Met with Lena on that investor pitch. She's got ideas, big ones. Might shake things up around here." His eyes flicked to mine. "Testing." In the first life, I'd beamed with pride. Now, I saw the hook baited. "Brilliant," I said, voice honeyed. "You two make a hell of a team." Inside, fury coiled like a spring. But rage was a blunt instrument. I needed precision. Step 1. Isolate the players. Step 2. Unearth the dirt. Step 3. Burn it all down. The drive to SFO was a blur of Bay Area traffic. The Golden Gate Bridge a rusty sentinel in my rearview. I called my assistant, Marcus. From the car, loyal Marcus. The only one who'd believed me in the end, piecing together fragments after my suicide. "Ava, you're early. Flight's not for." "Change of plans." I cut in. "Pull every financial report from the last year. Cross-reference with vendor logs." "And Marcus?" Discreetly. A pause. Then his voice sharpened. "On it." "Everything all right?" "Better than ever." I hung up, merging onto the freeway. First move. Audit the books without tipping Lena. She'd smell it like blood in the water. Chicago awaited, but so did my arsenal. Harlan Innovations specialized in neural implants, brain-computer interfaces for treating PTSD in vets. a cause close to my heart after my brother's service in Afghanistan. We just cleared FDA trials. The merger with Neuralink poised to skyrocket us to unicorn status. In my first life, that deal died with me. This time, I'd lock it down airtight, with clauses tying it to my survival. The conference was a whirlwind of handshakes and PowerPoints, venture capitalists in khakis circling like vultures. I pitched with fire, my voice steady despite the ghosts whispering in my ear. Imagine a world where trauma doesn't define you, I said to the room, locking eyes with the Neuralink rep.
Dr.
Elias Grant. Graying temples, southern drawl, trustworthy. Or so I'd thought before. Our tech rewires the pain. It's not just innovation, it's redemption. He nodded, impressed. You've got vision,
Ennis.
Harlan. Let's make this official. By evening, contracts were signed, digital, time-stamped, with a morality clause I'd insisted on. Any executive misconduct voids the deal. Lena's name was nowhere near it. Small victory. Back in the hotel bar, nursing a whiskey neat, I scrolled the encrypted drive Marcus had airdropped. Discrepancies leaped out. $50,000 to Evergreen Consulting, Jake's side hustle. $120,000 to Vista Supplies, a ghost entity Lena's cousin owned. Patterns emerged, a web of fraud spun under my nose. My phone buzzed. Jake. Miss you already. Lena says hi. Killed it today. I typed back. Fingers flying. Ditto. Tell Lena we're golden on the merger. Drinks when I land. Let them squirm. Thinking the prize was secure. The flight home was turbulent, mirroring the storm in my chest. Landing at SFO. I rented a car, not heading to the house, but to a nondescript motel off 101. No surprises this time. I needed space to plot. Night fell as I spread documents across the lumpy bed, highlighters marking trails of deceit. Jake's emails to Lena, flirty at first, then venomous. She's always one-upping us. When we take it, she'll break. Lena's reply, patience. The cabin's perfect. No traces. My stomach twisted. They hadn't just stolen, they'd savored it. But I had proof now. Fragments of their digital noose. Tomorrow, I'd confront the first thread, Jake's Consulting. A quick search on my laptop pulled up LLC filings, Evergreen, registered in Nevada. Jake as sole owner. Tax evasion on top of fraud. Delicious. Sleep came fitful. Dreams of strangled breaths morphing into blueprints of payback. Dawn broke gray, and I drove to a storage unit in Oakland, my contingency plan, stocked with cash, fake IDs, a burner phone. Paranoia?
No.
Preparation. The old Ava had trusted, the new one armored up. By noon, I was at the house, key turning smooth in the lock. Jake was out, golf with clients, he texted. I rifled his desk, pocketing a USB drive labeled personal, plugged into my laptop later. It spilled secrets, screenshots of bank transfers, love notes to Lena, even a draft of that forged suicide note. Ava's confession, I stole it all.
I'm sorry.
His handwriting,
Mimiket mine.
Tears pricked, hot and furious. But I blinked them away. This wasn't grief, it was gasoline. That evening, I cooked dinner steak, medium rare, Jake's favorite. He walked in whistling, loosening his tie.
God.
It smells amazing. Merger go off without a hitch. Flawless. I poured wine, our glasses clinking like toasts to the damned. As we ate, I watched him chew, the man who'd ended me chatting about his day. Jake. Hypothetically, if someone betrayed you, really gutted you, what would you do? He laughed, fork pausing. I'd cut him out.
No merci.
Why? Just thinking about loyalty. My smile was a blade. Ours is ironclad, right? Thicker than blood.
Babe.
He leaned in for a kiss, and I let him, tasting lies on his lips. That night, as he snored beside me, I slipped out to the balcony, burner phone in hand. First call, a PI I'd used for background checks. Ex-cop named Riley. Dig into Jake Ellis and Lena Vasquez. Affairs.
Finance.
Skeletons. Bill me double, make it fast. Consider it buried, he grunted. Second call. My lawyer. Harlan's corporate counsel. Vivian Locke. Ava, it's midnight. Emergency audit. Suspect internal fraud. Get warrants if you have to. Silence. Then, on my way. By morning, the house felt like a powder keg. Me the match. Jake left for work, oblivious. I met Vivian at the office. Lena's domain. She breezed in late, coffee in hand, that predatory smile.
Ava.
Back so soon? How was Cheetown? Eye-opening. I gestured to the conference room. Glass walls fogging with tension. Vivian laid out prelims, anomalies confirmed. We need her laptop. Now. Lena's eyes narrowed. What's this about? Standard procedure, I said coolly. Merger requires clean books. She handed it over, fingers lingering. Of course. Anything for the team. Hours later, forensics pulled it, encrypted folders mirroring Jake's USB. Their love nest. Digital edition. Vivian's face hardened. This is felony territory. Embezzlement. Conspiracy. Build a case, I whispered. But quietly. I want them to sweat. The week blurred into surveillance. I tailed Jake to a Daly City diner, watching him slide envelopes to a shifty accountant, payoffs for cooked numbers. Lena's penthouse after hours, him sneaking in, her silhouette against the curtains, bodies entwined. Each sighting etched deeper, fueling the fire. Decisions loomed, the controversial kind that'd make headlines. Leak to the press anonymously, ruin reputations before charges stuck, or play judge, jury, executioner, confront them at the cabin, force a confession on tape. The law was slow, blind, vengeance swift, satisfying. But America loves its underdogs, until they bite back too hard. Riley's report landed Friday, a dossier thick as a Bible, riddled with sins. Jake's gambling debts, $200K at underground poker dens in Reno. The kind where debts got settled with broken knees. Lena's past, expelled from Stanford for plagiarism. Hushed up with Daddy's donations. Their affair? Started at my company's retreat in Tahoe. A hot tub tryst while I presented earnings. And the big one, Lena's cousin. The Vista ghost. Tied to money laundering for a cartel splinter, small potatoes. But enough to flip her from corporate climber to federal snitch bait. I read it in a coffee shop off Market Street. The hum of San Franciscans oblivious to my unraveling world. Two baristas argued over oat milk ratios. A tech bro typed furiously on his MacBook, dreaming of the next unicorn. My unicorn. Stolen. But knowledge was currency. and I was flush. Step 4. Turn the screws. I started with Jake. Subtle as a stiletto. Saturday brunch at Zazie. Our spot in Coal Valley, croque madam and mimosas. The air thick with mimosa blooms and regret. Babe, we need to talk finances, I said, fork spearing a bite like an accusation. He tensed, mimosa halfway to lips. What's up? Everything's solid. Not quite. I slid a printout across, Evergreen's filings. Innocent enough on surface. Your side gig. It's bleeding into ours. Investors get twitchy. His laugh was forced. Adam's apple bobbing. Just legalese. I'll handle it. You will. My gaze pinned him. Or I will. For us. He nodded too quick. Sweat beading on his brow. Hook set. Lena was trickier. Ice to his water. Monday board meeting. I dropped the bomb mid-pitch. Lena's led on compliance. But let's audit vendors. Transparency builds trust. Her smile faltered. A crack in porcelain. Post-meeting. I cornered her in the executive washroom. Mirrors multiplying our reflections like fractured trust. Spill, I said, arms crossed.
Vista supplies.
Ring any bells. She adjusted her blazer. Composure stealing. Routine supplier. Why? Because routines don't launder $300,000. Bluff. Riley's leads were thin, but her flinch was gold. Fix it, or the board sees everything. Her eyes blazed. Hispanic fire meeting my Irish steel. You think you're untouchable. Ava? Princess of the lab. I was. Now I'm awake. I left her staring at her reflection, the woman who'd plotted my end seeing her own unraveling. The tension ratcheted. Jake grew distant. Excuses piling like unpaid bills, late nights, networking, phone face down at dinner. Lena pushed back in emails. Passive-aggressive jabs about work-life balance. I played along. The dutiful wife and boss. While my web tightened. Midweek. The controversial pivot. I hired a hacker, ethical, gray as fog rolling over the Presidio. Ghost, they called themselves. A Berkeley dropout with a grudge against big tech. $10,000 wired anonymously. And they cracked Lena's cloud backups. More dirt. Voice memos of her and Jake plotting. After the cabin, we split the settlement. She's too trusting. It'll look like she cracked under pressure. Chills raced my spine. But I saved the files. Time-stamped. Untraceable. Vivian reviewed. Airtight for civil. Shaky for criminal, without corroboration. Then we get it. Plan coalesced. Lure them to the cabin early. Wire the place. Force the truth. Risky, entrapment debates would rage in court. Tabloids screaming, vengeful widows set up? But proof over propriety. America thrived on vigilantes. Look at the true crime pods devouring stories like mine. Friday night. I broached it casual over takeout pad CW. Remember the cabin? We haven't gone since Tahoe. Weekend getaway reconnect. Jake's fork stilled. Eyes darting. Now? Busy week. Lena can spare you. I smiled. Venom sweet. Team building. Right? He swallowed.
Sure.
Why not? Hook. Line. Sinker. Saturday dawned crisp. Sierra Nevada's calling with pine-scented lies. We drove up in the Tesla, ironic. Electric silence underscoring our charade. Jake fidgeted with the radio. Indie rock a poor mask for nerves. I gripped the wheel. the road winding like fate. The cabin loomed, a frame relic from his family. Creaky floors and stone fireplace, hiding horrors past. I discovered the hidden cam I'd installed via a property management loophole, Riley's contacts. Audio to mics in the beams. Tech upgrade, I quipped as we unloaded. Smart home vibes. He chuckled uneasily. Always innovating. Lena arrived at dusk. Her Audi crunching gravel. Hugs all around, brittle as autumn leaves. Dinner was venison stew, my recipe, laced with nothing but truth serum in metaphor. Wine flowed, loosening tongues. To new beginnings, Lena toasted,
Glass raised.
her eyes flicked between us. Predator sensing trap. Jake clinked, too eager. Hell yeah. Conversation meandered. Work gripes. Industry gossip until I steered. Ever think about what you'd do if it all crumbled? Like,
Poof.
empire gone. Lena sipped, calculating.
Adapt.
That's business. Or love, Jake added, hand on my knee. Squeeze possessive. I pulled away, voice dropping. What if it wasn't business? What if someone sabotaged it? Stole it all? Silence thickened. Fire crackling accusation. Jake coughed. Hypothetical. Right? Not anymore. I stood, circling like a lawyer in closing. Evergreen.
Vista.
The siphoning. I know. Lena's glass shattered on the hearth, wine blood red, pooling like portent. Ava. Save it. I hit play on my phone. Ghosts hack spilling, their voices, plotting my end. Jake's gasp. Face ashen. That bitch, how? Doesn't matter. Fury crested. But I reined it. Confess. On tape. Or the board. The feds. The world hears the unedited version. Lena lunged, nails raking air. You crazy? This is blackmail. Call it justice. Jake shrank, pleading.
Ava.
It was the debts. She tempted me, said we could start fresh.
Fresh.
The word ignited me. Fresh on my corpse. He blanched. We didn't. You did. I advanced, the room shrinking. Strangle her dreams, then her neck. But I came back. And now, you beg. The recording rolled. Their confessions tumbling, affair details, fun trails, the forged note. Lena sobbed. Mascara rivers. Jake babbled excuses. Catharsis. Bitter as bile. But dawn brought reality. I drove down alone. Them bound by zip ties until Riley's team discovered them anonymous tip. Vivian filed charges Monday. Fraud. Conspiracy. Attempted murder. The cabin tapes? Admissible. Entrapment be damned. Self-defense narrative. Headlines exploded. Biotech boss uncovers betrayal plot. Husband and COO in custody. Protests erupted. Feminists hailing me. Conservatives decrying witch hunt. Talk shows debated. Hero or harpy. My TEDx invite followed. Irony thick. Yet victory tasted hollow. The house sold anyway, tainted. I moved to a loft in Soma. Views of the bay mocking my solitude. Marcus got promoted. Elias sealed expansions. Harlan innovations soared. Implants saving lives. My brothers included in trials. Months blurred. Jake's trial loomed. Plea deal incoming. 20 years minimum. Lena flipped, testifying for leniency. Her cousin's cartel ties unraveling a bigger net. I testified. Voice steady. Eyes on the jury, housewives, vets, techies. They didn't just steal money. They stole trust.
And trust?
That's the real currency.
Guilty.
Sentenced in a San Jose courtroom. Jake's glare, my parting gift. You win, he mouthed.
Did I?
The twist hit like aftershocks. Ripples from an quake I thought buried. 6 months post-sentencing. A manila envelope arrived at the office. No return address. Postmarked Reno. Inside, photos. Not of me, but of Jake's poker nights. Grainy shots of him not gambling, but meeting a woman. Blonde, mid-40s, sharp features. His sister?
No.
Ex-wife. From before me. And a letter.
Typed.
Anonymous. He didn't start the debts with Lena. She inherited them. From me. We planned to pay you back. But she twisted it. My blood iced. Riley on speed dial. Dig deeper. Jake's ex. Carla Voss. And cross-check Lena's family tree. Turns out, Carla was no ghost. Divorced Jake a decade prior over infidelity. Ironic.
That.
She'd clawed her way to mid-level at a rival firm. Neuralink's shadow player. The debts? Hers. Funneled through Jake as loans. But Lena? Her uncle was cartel-adjacent. Yes. But the real venom, Lena's mother, Carla's college roommate, had whispered resentments for years. Ava's too perfect. Take her down. A grudge from a botched job referral. Festering into vendetta. The plot thickened. Carla, not Jake, initiated the siphon, using him as pawn. Lena as blade. She'd posed as investor. Fed him leads. Then vanished when heat rose. The cabin? Her idea. Relayed through Lena. Make it look desperate. Suicide sells sympathy. Rage reignited. Hotter.
Pure.
I'd caged the puppets. The puppeteer danced free. Controversial? Hell yes. Vigilante round 2. Track her. Expose her. But no courts this time. Public pillory. Leaks to biotech forums. Whispers to Elias at Neuralink. Carla Voss. Saboteur. Blacklist her.
She fought dirty.
My tires slashed outside a Palo Alto gala. Anonymous emails. Back off. Or your implants fail. Lives on the line. Threats to the tech. My life's work. Vets in trials. Electrodes in brains. Vulnerable. I doubled security. Hired bodyguards. XSLS with eyes like lasers. The confrontation brewed in a deserted warehouse off the Embarcadero. Foghorns moaning like ghosts. Riley tailed her there. A drop for launder ducks. I waited in shadows. Hoodie up. Voice modulator on a burner. Carla. She spun. Glock trembling in manicured hands. Who the fuck? The widow you buried. I stepped forward. Face half-lit by sodium lamps. Twice. Almost. Recognition dawned. Horror twisting her Botox-smooth features. Ava, you're supposed to be dead, resilient. Actually, no gun on me, too American movie. Too traceable. Words as weapons. Your daughter's rotting in county. Jake's broken. And you? Hiding in Reno motels. Chasing shadows. She fired wild. Bullet pinging off crates. He was mine first. You stole him. Built your castle on my ruins. Ruins you made. I circled. Calm as a shark. The affair. The debts, it was revenge porn. Corporate edition. But karma's a bitch with a PhD. Sirens wailed. Riley's backup.
Tipped to the meat.
She dropped the gun.
Sobbing.
I just wanted. Even a myth. Cuffs clicked. Her empire crumbling in blue lights. Feds swarmed post-arrest. RICO charges. Boss tangled in a web-spanning biotech espionage to cartel kickbacks.
Neuralink sued.
Harlan Innovations indemnified. My morality clause a shield. Stock soared 40%. Me on CNBC. Betrayal's the ultimate beta test. We innovate through it. But the high faded. Nightmares persisted. Jake's hands. Lena's laugh. Carla's gun. Therapy? A soma shrink with mindfulness apps. Forgive to heal, she cooed. Forgiveness was for saints. I was survivor.
Scarred.
I dated a venture guy. Ethical. No secrets.
But trust?
Fractured pain. Views distorted. Twists echo. In Carla's effects. A locket. Not mine, hers. With a photo of Jake. Young. Smiling. Under it, a note. For Ava. If she survives. I'm sorry. Her suicide note. Penned in holding. Guilt's final act.
Bi kịch alcohol. Both.
I burned it. Ashes to the bay. Harlan thrived. Implants in 1,000 brains. Rewriting traumas. Mine included. Yet in quiet moments, staring at the skyline, I wondered, did I rewrite fate? Or just delay the chokehold? America promised reinvention, phoenix from ashes. But some fires leave marks. The board pushed expansion, East Coast hub, DC lobbying for vet funding. I greenlit, flying solo.
No Jaque.
No Lena.
No Carla.
Just Ava. Unbreakable. Or so I told the mirror. A year post Carla. The scars itch less. Faded to silver reminders. Harlan Innovations HQ gleamed in the mission glass and steel. Murals of neural webs by local artists. I paced my corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Castro's rainbow flags whipping in wind.
Below.
Protesters gathered, not against me. For once. Climate march. Signs bobbing like buoys. Irony. My tech-healed minds, the planet frayed. Marcus knocked. Tablet in hand.
Ava.
The DC pitch. Senators are eating it up. PTSD funding. Bipartisan gold. Seal it. I grinned.
Genuine.
Promotion suited him. VP now. Tie loosened. That boyish curl tamed. Alone again. I scrolled X, formerly Twitter. Ghosts in the algorithm. Jake's handle. At Jake Ellis Consult. Dormant. Lena's LinkedIn, seeking opportunities. Carla's obit. Buried in Reno Gazette. Public one. But private? Echo chamber. The controversial lingered. My methods. Op-eds branded me, the reckoning CEO, feminists toasting vigilante chic, ethicists decrying ends justify means. A podcast invite, dark side of disruption. I declined. Let them talk. I'd build. Evening brought the gala, SF Biotech Awards. Black ties and power suits at the De Young. Elias Grant cornered me by the Monet. Champagne flutes clinking.
Ava.
Your force. That boss takedown? Legendary. Survival. I corrected. Sipping. What's next for Neuralink? Merger talks. You in.
Tempting.
Consolidation meant scale. Implants in schools for anxiety, YARs for trauma. But autonomy? My hill to die on. Again. Dance first. We twirled. His drawl warm against the strings quartet. For a moment, lightness, no plots. Just possibility. Post-gala. Uber to the loft. City lights blurred. A neon therapy. Home. Minimalist, now white walls. Eames chair. A single photo. Me and brother at his discharge. Medals pinned proud.
No jaque.
Buzz. Unknown number. Heart stuttered. Paranoia reflex. Harlan. Ava. Voice gravel.
Familiar. Jake.
Prism line.
Collect.
I hesitated. Then, what?
Appeal denied. But.
I need to say.
No.
Line dead. Forgiveness? Not yet. Maybe never. Sleep evaded. City hum a lullaby. Dreams, the cabin. But reversed, I strangled shadows. Woke gasping. Dawn yoga on the deck.
Poses grounding.
Namaste to the void. Monday merger talks heated. Board divided. Elias push synergy. Holdouts feared dilution. I mediated. Voice the scalpel. We merge on our terms. Ethics clause. Veto power. Protect the mission. Vote swung. Deal linked by lunch. Press release. Harlan Neuralink Union. Rewiring tomorrow. Headlines praised. Ava Harlan's empire expands from ashes to algorithms. But the real twist? Buried in due diligence, a file. Carla's legacy. Not malice, a prototype schematic. Her invention from grad school. Neural dampener for pain. Stolen by her mentor. Patented under Harlan pre-merger. Irony. My company built on her ghost. I called Elias. Credit her.
Publicly.
Voss Foundation grant. Fund implants for women in abusive homes.
Done.
His pause. You're good people. Ava.
Good?
Debatable. But redeemed? Closer. Summer bloomed. Heat wave baking the bay. I escaped to Tahoe. Retreat redux. Companies sanctioned. Hiking trails. Pine needles crunching under Nikes. At the lake.
I swam.
Water cold shock therapy. No hot tubs.
No betrayals.
Brother joined. Prosthetic leg wearing soft. Your tech. Sis, it works. Nightmares gone. Hug tight. That's the win. Fall brought trials echoes. Jake's transfer to Supermax. Lena's community service. Irony. Auditing nonprofits. Carla's foundation launched. First grants to shelters. Her note? Framed in my desk drawer. Not burned, lesson.
Not chain. Thanksgiving solo.
Turkey for one. Netflix true crime irony. But Christmas? Brothers. Family flock. Nieces giggling over gingerbread. His wife toasting to Ava. The unbreakable. Unbreakable. Words stuck. New Year. 2026. Keynote at CES. Vegas lights blinding. Stage thrumming. Thousands below. We don't just code circuits. We code comebacks. Applause thundered. My phoenix moment. Backstage. A fan. Young engineer. Eyes bright. Your story. It gave me courage. To report my boss. Handshake firm. Ripple effect. The end? Open circuit.
Sparking.
No tidy bow, life's not script. But this loop? Closed on my terms.
Betrayed. Buried. Reborn. 重生.
They say, second chance. I took it, teeth bared. And America? She watched, debated.
Moved on.
But me? I stayed, wiring the future, one vengeful node at a time. In quiet, the hook echoes, death's gasp, life's roar. I chose roar. Fade to credits?
Nah. Roll tape.